5 things we learnt from day 2 of F1 testing in Bahrain. The penultimate day of testing has finished. We have 8 hours of running tomorrow before that's it. The next time we see the cars on track is FP1 next Friday. If you thought things were going to quieten down after yesterday's drama, think again. Fires, red flags, and chaotic starts. There was plenty of things happening today. McLaren's in trouble. McLaren were looking so good after Barcelona testing, but after the second day in Bahrain, it looks like they're on the back foot. If Daniel Ricciardo being potentially forced to miss the whole of Bahrain testing due to illness wasn't bad enough, it seems the MCL36 has encountered a pretty major issue that's not going to be an easy fix. Its brakes won't stop overheating. The problem could all be down to the new car's aerodynamics. The introduction of wheel covers means there's now a limited airflow to the brakes, making it more difficult to control their temperatures. It wasn't so bad in Barcelona where things were cooler, but Bahrain's warmer conditions are putting them under increased strain. Standing start chaos. Quite literally, WTF was going on. Testing is the perfect opportunity to not only take the cars for a spin, but to also make sure that all the FIA systems and safety procedures are working as they should. Whether it's testing out the red flags or pit lane procedures, it's essential that the FIA make sure everyone knows what to do should things go wrong on a race weekend. However, race control might have some explaining to do after today's session. 15 minutes before the morning session was due to end, the red flag was brought out for an FIA restart test. No cars had actually broken down, but all the cars returned to their garages. Once everyone had returned to the pit lane, the light turned green before immediately turning red again, which was a bit odd. Teams were then told when the pretend race would resume, and the cars were encouraged to head back to the starting grid for a standing start. With Sebastian Vettel on pole ahead of Valtteri Bottas and Charles Leclerc, Max Verstappen and George Russell somehow managed to mess things up and had to wait at the pit lane exit. As a result, the FIA made the drivers do another formation lap to get a 5-car grid. The problem was, Bottas then came to a stop on the second formation lap and brought out an actual red flag. With the session not resuming, they never actually got their standing start. Reliability was a big problem. There were red flags galore today. Firstly, the brakes on Nicholas Latifi's Williams dramatically caught fire after almost 2 hours into the morning session. Thankfully, the Canadian wasn't hurt, but managed to come to a halt on track and help put out the fire. Unfortunately, that was the end of the team's running after only 12 laps. The FW44 seems to have suffered some damage, but it doesn't look as bad as initially thought, so we should see them back in action tomorrow. Mick Schumacher was also limited to 23 laps and ended his day early due to an exhaust issue on his Haas car. Sebastian Vettel was another driver who found himself with problems this morning. After having just left the garage for his latest stint, the Aston Martin stopped on part of the Bahrain Outer Circuit, which we saw back in 2020. We all want that fun track back, don't we? Having become the second driver to reach a century of laps, Esteban Ocon then found himself bringing out the red flag during the afternoon session. It seems a minor glitch with the Alpine's radiator saw him struggle for power out of turn 10, before stopping just before he reached turn 13. K-Mag's back behind the wheel. Signed a contract on Wednesday, sat in the garage on Thursday, and back in the car by Friday. After the shock announcement that he'd be rejoining Haas, replacing Nikita Mazepin, he finally got back in the driving seat. A decent afternoon's running saw him complete 39 laps and end the day with the 9th fastest time. Notice how I said end the day. As of recording this voiceover, Kevin set the fastest time of anyone this evening. Haas have been given a couple of hours extra running today and tomorrow to make up for them missing the opening morning session. Haas truly unveiling their final form when the cameras are turned off. Ferrari still looking good. Ferrari were once again in a good form in testing. Carlos Sainz clocked the second fastest time for a second time in a row today. It was first, but Kevin Magnussen decided to beat that later in the evening. Despite what seemed like a never-ending amount of red flags, a fair few drivers put in some solid race runs. The Ferrari duo managed 114 laps between them, but it was AlphaTauri's Yuki Tsunoda who led the way with a whopping 120 laps on his own. That's the length of over 2 Bahrain Grand Prix. I wonder how he's feeling after that. There you have it, all the key things we've learnt from day 2 of F1 testing in Bahrain. Which teams do you think could be in trouble this season? Let us know in the comment section below.